2,000 years ago, in the ancient city of Babylon, a man named Arkad became the richest person in the entire kingdom. His secret wasn't magic or inherited wealth. It was something far more powerful, a set of timeless principles about money that we can use today to transform our financial lives. If you're serious about building wealth and want to learn the ancient secrets that still work in our modern world, subscribe to this channel right now so you don't miss the breakdown of how to apply these principles to your cash flow today. The first principle from Babylon is deceptively simple. Pay yourself first. What this means is that before you spend money on anything else, you need to set aside a portion of your income for yourself. Not your landlord, not your creditors, not your employer, but you. In Babylon, people were taught to save at least 1/10 of their earnings. In the modern world, this translates directly into a cash flow habit called the 10% rule. When money comes in, whether it's your salary, a freelance payment, or a side hustle income, 10% goes immediately into a separate account that you don't touch. This isn't about deprivation. It's about priority. Your future self is just as important as your current bills. Many people think this is impossible. They say they don't make enough money to save. But here's what the Babylonians understood that we often forget. It's not about how much you make. It's about what percentage you keep. A person earning $50,000 a year can save 10%. So can someone earning $500,000. The habit is identical. The proportion is what matters. When you implement this today, you're not just saving money. You're creating a psychological shift. You're declaring to yourself that you are worthy of investment. You're telling your brain that your future matters. The second principle is called ensuring profits through wise spending. In other words, live below your means. This is where most people fail because it requires honest conversation with yourself about what you actually need versus what you want. In ancient Babylon, people tracked every single expense. They knew where their money went because they wrote it down. Today we have apps and spreadsheets, but the principle remains unchanged. You cannot control what you don't measure. Let's say you take home $3,000 a month after taxes. If you've already committed 10% to savings, that leaves $2,700. Now comes the crucial part. You need to budget the remaining $2,700 so that you're not spending all of it. A common framework is the 50-30-20 rule. 50% goes to necessities like rent, food, and utilities. That's $1,350. 30% goes to your wants, like dining out, entertainment, and hobbies. That's $810. 20% goes to additional savings and debt repayment. That's $540. But here's the Babylon twist. The 10% you already paid yourself comes first, before this breakdown happens. So you're actually saving 30% of your gross income when you combine both buckets. This creates a powerful cash flow habit. Money flows in. 10% flows immediately to your future. The rest flows into a budget that you actually designed, rather than one that happens by accident. Most people have a budget by default. Their money goes wherever the strongest impulse takes it. You're creating an intentional budget, and that's the difference between staying poor and becoming wealthy. The third principle is called making your money work for you. In Babylon, this was about lending money at interest or investing in businesses. The point wasn't to be idle and collect passive income while doing nothing. The point was to understand that money itself is a tool that can generate more money. This is the concept of compound interest, and it's arguably the most powerful wealth-building mechanism ever discovered. Here's how it works. Let's say you're saving $100 a month, which is 10% of a $1,200 income. You put that in an investment account that earns 7% annually, which is roughly the historical average of stock market returns. In year one, you save $1,200 and earn about $84 in returns. That doesn't sound like much. But here's where the magic happens. In year two, you're not earning 7% on just the $1,200 you saved in year one. You're earning 7% on the $1,200 plus the $84 in returns. You're earning interest on your interest. That's compounding. After 10 years of saving $100 a month at 7% returns, you won't have just $12,000. You'll have around $15,000. After 20 years, you'll have around $39,000. After 30 years, you'll have over $75,000. All of this comes from consistent $100 monthly contributions. The Babylonians didn't know the exact mathematics, but they understood the principle. Money that works generates more money. Money that sits idle generates nothing. The fourth principle is protecting your wealth from loss. In modern terms, this means insurance and diversification. In Babylon, merchants understood that if you put all your capital into one venture, one disaster could wipe you out. A fire could destroy your goods. A storm could sink your ship. A war could end your business. So they spread their risk. They invested in multiple ventures so that if one failed, others would still succeed. Today, this principle sounds like don't put all your eggs in one basket. If you're investing for retirement, you shouldn't own only tech stocks or only real estate. You should own a mix of stocks, bonds, real estate, and cash. Each of these assets behaves differently depending on economic conditions. When one struggles, another typically thrives. This cash flow habit of diversification protects your wealth from catastrophic loss. It's not the most exciting principle. It doesn't promise quick riches, but it's perhaps the most important for long-term wealth building because it keeps you in the game. Insurance also fits here. In the modern world, you need health insurance so that a medical emergency doesn't bankrupt you. You need car insurance if you drive. You need disability insurance so that if you can't work, you can still pay your bills. These seem like expenses that don't generate returns, but they're actually protecting the returns you've already built up. The Babylonians understood this intuitively. You protect your capital because capital is what generates wealth. The fifth principle is increasing your earning ability. This might be the most underrated wealth principle of all. In Babylon, apprentices learned trades. They studied under masters. They invested time in becoming more skilled because a skilled worker earned more than an unskilled one. This principle is even more relevant today. Your earning ability is your most powerful wealth-building tool, especially when you're young. Let's do the math. If you earn $50,000 a year and save 10% for 40 years, earning 7% on your investments, you'll end up with approximately $1.3 million by retirement. That's not bad. But what if you invest in yourself? What if you learn a skill, earn a certification, or develop expertise that increases your income by just 10%? Now you're earning $55,000 a year. You save 10% of that, which is $5,500 instead of $5,000. Over 40 years, that extra $500 per month, compounding at 7%, creates an additional $400,000 in wealth. That's the power of increasing your earning ability. In the modern world, this means reading books in your field, taking online courses, learning new skills, and positioning yourself for promotions or better opportunities. It means practicing public speaking if you're an introvert, because communication skills command higher salaries. It means learning to code if you're in any technical field. It means understanding basic financial literacy regardless of your profession. Every hour you invest in increasing your earning ability is an hour that pays dividends for the rest of your career. Now, let's talk about how to implement these 5 principles into an actual cash flow system that works in the 21st century. You need 3 accounts. The first is your spending account. This is where your paycheck lands. The second is your savings account. This is where your 10% goes immediately. The third is your investment account. This is where your savings start to work for you. Some people use more accounts, but these 3 create the foundation. When money hits your spending account, you immediately transfer 10% to your savings account. This should be automatic. Set up an automated transfer on the same day you get paid. Don't think about it. Don't decide whether you can afford it. You've already decided. You always keep 10%. From the remaining 90%, you live on a budget that you've designed. Your 50-30-20 breakdown guides your spending. Every month, when you've accumulated enough in your savings account, you move it to your investment account and invest it according to your diversified plan. This system is simple, but it requires discipline. The hardest part isn't understanding the principles. The hardest part is actually doing them month after month when nothing seems to be happening. Especially in the first year, but if you stick with it, something remarkable happens. Around year 3 or 4, your investments start generating enough returns that you can feel them. They're no longer theoretical. You can see them in your account balance. This is when the psychological shift happens. You stop feeling like saving is a sacrifice. You start feeling like your money is working for you, and that feeling fuels the discipline to keep going. One more crucial principle from the ancient Babylonians that we haven't fully explored yet is the wisdom of seeking advice from people who know. In Babylon, if you wanted to learn about investing, you talked to successful investors. If you wanted to learn about business, you talked to successful business people. They weren't gatekeeping knowledge. They were sharing freely because they understood that knowledge shared multiplies in value. In our modern world, this means finding mentors, reading books by successful people, listening to podcasts from experts in your field, and surrounding yourself with people who are ahead of you financially. If you want to get wealthy, spend time around people who are already wealthy and learning from them. Their habits and mindset will influence you in ways that books alone cannot. This is like the principle of increasing your earning ability, but applied to your entire financial worldview. I'll be honest with you, these principles might sound obvious,